Hi folks, how's it going? I'm really excited because Kunos Simulations recently released their new DLC, the Challenges Pack for Assetto Corsa Competizione, and that pack comes with 5 cars. You've got a pointy Porsche, you've got a really anchored Audi, you've got a lovely Lamborghini, a feckin' fast Ferrari, and this beautiful BMW, the M2. And look, there's and that's 5 cars for a tenner. That's all it costs. So I instantly went out and got that, of course. In fact, I've been so excited about it. As you will have seen if you're a subscriber to my channel from one of my previous videos, I recently upgraded my computer specifically for ACC because it was running a bit slow, a bit stuttery. And if you want to know what that was, go and watch my last video. £55 hardware upgrade improves performance massively. And it has. It's like I've got a new processor. All I did was went dual channel on my RAM, got another stick of RAM, and ACC's running like a dream now. But there's 5 cars, but they're all so interesting. There's just too much to go over in one video. So in this video, I'm just going to have a quick look at this first car here, the BMW. Starting off as well, you know, with the slowest car out of the pack. In fact, the slowest car in ACC at all at the moment. So this car's about 350 brake, straight 6 up the front. Short wheelbase as well, so I think it's going to be good for tight, twisty tracks. And also, as you can see, I have already gone into ACC's fantastic editor and a livery editor, if you like. And I've created my own livery scheme because I've gone for this washed out blue and orange. I've always loved that colour scheme ever since I was young and I saw the Gulf Racing Team liveries, which were the sort of blue and orange. So I've gone and done that. And the other reason I've been really looking forward to this car in particular is because I've had this car in Rfactor 2 for quite some time now. And I love it in Rfactor 2. I'm going out, first of all, on the Nuremberg GP track. Because I've got the same track in both sims, so I've been doing a bit of driving in each one. And I'll tell you this now, Rfactor 2 and Kunos being hardcore simulators, I like to tell you, you know, that they get their info and their data straight from the manufacturer BMW themselves, and it shows. Both cars handle incredibly similar. They really do. Let's just go over quickly a few of the little differences I've found. So, if we go into our setup, now here's an odd thing. So they both get their data from the manufacturer. So why is it that in Rfactor 2, if you go to your differential, you've got an adjustable differential which is set at default to 60 Newton meters. In here, in ACC, no adjustable differential. It's not adjustable, and it's set down to 20 Newton meters. And when I first drove this car in this simulation, after driving the one in Rfactor 2, I found that I could get more turning through braking and lift off. And I was wondering why that was. And it was slightly less easy to get the back end out under power. It's very easy to get the back end out under power in this car in general, but it's slightly less. In this, and then I saw the differential settings and I thought that must be why, so I went into Rfactor 2, changed the differential setting down to as low as it would go, which interestingly will only let you go down as low as 26, whereas it's 20 in this. That's odd. And it all became a lot more similar. Also, weird little thing this, in Rfactor 2 the default setup of the ride height is the same at both ends of the car. The default setup in this, it's a millimetre higher at the front end. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just to counteract, you know, to make the front end understeer a little bit more, so you don't get the back end. I don't know. If you got an idea on this, let me know in the comments. And also, by the way, just quickly, if you find my videos useful and you enjoy them, please do me a massive favour and hit that subscribe button. The more subscribers I can accumulate, the more I can afford to do with this channel, and there's lots I'd like to do with it, so I'd really appreciate that. But anyway, so down to another little difference. Now, default steering ratio in Rfactor 2 is 14, I think. In here it's 15. And there's another odd little thing. Now this comes down to a little bit of something that I think is a little bit of a problem. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. Now, with the steering in Rfactor 2, of course, you set your steering wheel to auto, and it will Rfactor 2 will automatically give you the correct lock for your steering wheel to be the same lock as the actual car has it designed to be. In ACC, there's no proper soft lock or hard lock, so you have to set up that yourself. I've done a video on this before. I use the 0 lock trick. So if you go into your controls and set lock down to 0, it then kind of defaults to basically your steering wheel. You can take it down or up in terms of degrees, but if you keep taking it down, it will eventually reach the correct lock, and you'll have exactly 1-to-1 steering. You'll have to watch that other video, but in this car, from what I've, and in case you were wondering why, by the way, what the correct steering lock is for this car, now I've got 1-to-1 steering here. If you watch, I'm going to turn exactly 90 degrees, and the steering wheel on screen is 90 degrees. This car's got a really tight steering lock. It only goes that far, okay? And from what I've worked out, so what you want in your steering wheel, it's about 400 degrees. And if you don't want to use the 0 lock trick, you can set your lock in the control section to 400 as well, and you'll have 1-to-1 steering. But here's the thing. Now, once you get to that extent, you'll see that my steering wheel on screen doesn't turn anymore. But watch this. If you watch my steering wheel here, there you go. You've got another, God knows how many degrees that is, of redundant steering. That doesn't happen in any other car. If you set your steering, any other car in this sim, if you set your steering to exactly the steering lock the car should be, and in your settings, it'll get to the lock and your steering will stop. It doesn't matter what degrees. Say if you don't want it as the car was designed, and you want to set it to 900, or you want to set it to, something ridiculous like 280. You will always have that little bit of redundant lock in this car. I think that could be a bit of a bug. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think in the comments, please. But apart from that, that's the only real problem. And like I said, it's a very tight lock. In Rfactor 2, you can actually, it gives you a selection of locks. And the closest to this is about 390 in Rfactor 2. But that's, of course, the lock of your steering wheel, not how much your front wheels turn in relation to how much this steers. If you want your front wheels to have more or less lock, of course, in ACC, you can go into your setups and you can adjust, as most of you who know ACC will know, you can adjust this here. But if you're new to ACC, just to let you know, if you want more lock, you'd probably think you increase that value. So it's set at 15, you can increase it to 17. Well, it's actually not so. That gives you less turning. So slightly less sensitive steering. If you want more turning, more lock, you actually take that down to its lowest, which is 10. So less is more. So we'll put that back to default. Now, another difference, I think I've gone over the differential setting there already. Another difference that I've found is that in both cars, in both sims, have traction control and ABS. However, in this simulation, you can turn traction control on and off, which you can do in Rfactor 2 as well, or to varying levels of it. Let's see, there's, I think, yes, 4 levels of it. But I like to keep that off because this car's fun to get the back end out on. But also in Rfactor 2, the ABS is non-adjustable. It's permanently on. It's really strong. and it really vibrates the wheel. In ACC, it is still quite strong. You can really feel it, but not as much as Rfactor 2. But there's 2 levels of it, and you can turn it completely off. You can turn it completely off, which is great. I love that because I do like to drive quite a lot without the ABS turned on. And on that note, before we get out and actually drive the car, the brakes in this are fantastic. The brake feeling is also fantastic. If I was to drive, say, a Ferrari, I do find the brakes on the Ferraris, especially the Evo, quite sensitive. They're very, very sensitive. So if I've got the ABS turned off in the Ferrari, I'll take the brake power down to 80, and that gives me a bit of a better brake feel. I don't need to do that in the BMW. I can leave it at 100, and the brake feel is fine. So anyway, let's get out and drive the car. Now, as I said, both cars feel incredibly similar to each other. Let's just get rid of my HUD. Start her up. Oh, there you go. There's that lovely straight 6 up the front. So you got a straight 6. She's quite torquey, and
low tire pressure. Stay clear of the curbs.
Short wheelbase. So I think this car will be good for tight, twisty tracks like Alton Park. But as I said, I've been using this track as a comparison because I've got it in both sims. Now, here's the fun bit about the car. You can really have some fun with it. You can get that back end out under power pretty easily. It's a lot of fun. Slowest car, but definitely a big ton of fun. Let's there we go. You can really steer it on the back end. Nice controlled drifts. There you go. In fact, let's just see how that actually looks. Oh, there we go. There. Let's just change the camera. So, yeah, as you can see, especially from the replay here, you know, you can get that back end right out. You can have a lot of fun with it. And it's a similar story in Rfactor 2. I do find the drift slightly easier to control in Rfactor 2, but I think that's not exactly down to the data that maybe the manufacturers have given the simulation makers or the developers. I think it's down to Rfactor 2's having a physical tyre model and ACC not having that. It's the way traction breaks and comes back is slightly different in both sims, but overall extremely similar. And I think this is in Rfactor 2 you've got the 350 brake horsepower version, but you've also got the 450 brake horsepower version. From what I've been able to assess, this is definitely the 350 brake version, because around this track I am hitting, and I really mean this, like maybe a kilometre per hour here or there, but pretty much exactly the same speeds at the end of the straights on this track. I'm hitting the same speed as I am doing in Rfactor 2. Also, lap times are very, very similar, give or take a second here or there. I've not done any serious practicing, maybe just try a few laps in this, try a few laps in that, and I'm a second here or there. So I think they're pretty damn similar. Like I said, if I did find this was slightly less easy to get the back end out under power due to that differential, and more easy to get turning with liftoff. But then if I go and put this car onto the aggressive setup for this track, the preset aggressive setup, I think just because of the way the suspension is set up with the dampers, it acts even more like the Rfactor 2 version. But it's absolutely fantastic. I'm really, really enjoying it. The other slight difference is the dash. Now the dash looks very similar, although I will say the whole interior looks quite a lot better in ACC, and just because of its graphics. But on the dashboard in Rfactor 2, you'll notice over here you've got tyre pressures, or tyre pressures over here and tyre temperatures over here. In this car, on the right hand side, you have, rather than tyre temperatures, you've got oil and water. So that's slightly different. Anyway, I'm going to quickly just leave this track and go to a track that you probably think, why on earth would you do that? Why would you take that car to Paul Ricard, which, as you can see, has the longest straight in this simulation out of all the tracks. This track has the longest straight. So why would I take it here? Well, I'll show you. Let's get rid of the
Green light, give it all you can.
traction control and ABS again, and get out there.
Low tire pressure,
Now,
stay away from curbs.
this track has got lots of runoff area, and you can just ignore corners here, which is good. So I'm gonna, rather than go around all of these corners, I'm gonna completely ignore them and just go straight across the runoff areas here. Just hope I don't lose my way. And I'm gonna just get around this corner here and line the car up. There's a couple of very easy corners before the big long straight, and I'm gonna line the car up next to this tyre wall here, so I can get the straightest line through those two corners. I want the biggest run up possible for this straight, because this car's got 7 gears. 7 gears. 7 gears in a 350 brake car. You're not going to need all of them. Watch this. First, second. And you can change quite early, because, like I said, it's quite torquey in the low end. But we're in 4th now. And we're going to be changing up to 5th at around 200 kilometers per hour. There we go. And by the end of this straight, we're not going to be hitting more than about 240, 245. We might hit 245. But look, I'm in 5th gear. Still going. Still going. I'll change up to 6, but there's no real point really. 43, 44, 44.5 before I have to start braking, before I hit the wall at the end. That's the longest straight in the game, and I've taken that extra run up. So you don't need anything more than 5th gear. In fact, in this car, and it's the same in Rfactor 2 with this engine version, this power, 6th gear doesn't do very much. 7th gear is completely redundant. You get into 7th gear in this car, and because in Rfactor 2 I was able to try it, it's got a longer track, so the old version of Monza, you know, with the bank corners, it's really longer than this. And I think the highest I could achieve, and this was in 6th gear, I didn't even get anywhere near 7th, there was no point. It got up to, before I ran out of road, it got up to, I think, about 261 kilometers per hour. Obviously, the 450 brake version makes more use of 6th gear, but 7th is still pretty useless. So it's something I don't know if there's an even higher horsepower model of this car, but maybe the gearbox is they just use the same gearbox for everyone. I don't know. Anyway, that's all the little things about this car. The main thing about it is it may be the slowest car in ACC, but it is awesome to drive. I absolutely love it. Like I said, you can get that back end out under power, but it's not actually a massively oversteery car. It's quite well balanced. So if you're careful with the throttle, or if you use the traction control, then you can tame that back end really easily. Like I said, I do think this car is going to be great for little tracks like Alton Park. I've tried it out there, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. And I think it will make for some really close single make racing. I'm a big fan of single make racing. I do hope, and this is another thing that you can comment on, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You know, because I love the GT4s, but you hardly ever see anyone online in the servers using the GT4s. I hope that, you know, with this and also the Lamborghini, which is also single make, and the Porsche, that they will be taken up and used in the servers online, because I think it would be absolutely fantastic racing. Anyway, do you think they'll be popular online? Do you like the car? And also, and once again, if you are chatting to me in the comments, please do subscribe. Really helps me out. But would you like to see in another video? Because I'd really like to do this as well. Would you like to see me take this car for a race with about 29 AI and see if we can get some close racing done at somewhere like Alton Park? Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, that's all from me for the moment. Thank you very much for watching. And if you've got this new DLC, I hope you're enjoying it. If you don't have it and you were thinking about it, I can tell you, it's completely my opinion, but I can tell you all the cars are really great. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you very much, Kunos. Yeah, cheers for watching, and as always, if you want this channel to survive, do me a favor and hit subscribe. May seem like a small thing to do, but it enables me to make more videos for you. By hitting that button, you can help us thrive. Subscribe and keep this channel alive. Don't cost nothing, don't take no time. Come on now, keep this channel alive.